Hi guys, so here we're going to talk about calculating between moles and grams. You'll need your notes, your calculator, your periodic table. You'll also need table T as well to reference, and the mole map. So looking at the mole map again, we have moles of one substance and moles of another. We can figure out the mole ratio using the balanced chemical equation, and we'll talk about that later. In Unit 3, we talked about liters of a gas at SDP, the 22.4. So again, this was for a gas, same thing over here, and we used that number 22.4. In the last video, we talked about finding the molar mass, which is the grams of the solid. So in this video, we're going to talk about going back and forth between moles and grams of a solid. Same thing over there. So on table T, we have a formula for the mole calculations. It says it's the number of moles is equal to the given mass over the gram formula mass. So any one of these three can be our unknown. Generally, if they give us what the formula is, so say for example it's NaCl, which we'll look at a little bit on today, that we can figure out the gram formula mass because we can take the atomic mass from the periodic table. So again, if they give us the formula, we have to know to go find the molar mass of the gram formula mass. The given mass, the mass might be given to us and the moles might be given to us. So again, this might be, each of these may be from the problem. If it happens that both of these are from the problem, that means you have to find the gram formula mass. And from there, they might ask you, which of the following would this fit into? So then you'd have to take the atomic masses for each of them. So the periodic table, again, we just need to look at the atomic mass, which is the upper left-hand corner. And using that right there for our key. So for number one, how many moles are in 143 grams of CO2? Since they give us the formula CO2, we know that we can actually go ahead and just find the molar mass from it. We did this previously, but it would just be 44.0098 grams per mole. And I got this by adding up the 12.011 from the carbon and adding that to the two oxygens, and each oxygen is 15.9994. Again, you might memorize these. It's kind of sad when you do. So here, I'm figuring out what the number of moles are, so I can use the formula as is. So my number of moles is my given mass. So here it's 143 grams. That's what they gave me in the problem. And the gram formula mass is that molar mass that we had determined by adding up all of the atomic masses from the periodic table. So it's 44.0098 grams per mole. But if I have a denominator in the denominator, I can actually move this right on up to the numerator. So I'll show you how to do that. It's going to be times mole. Let's take a look at our units. We can actually cancel out the grams. When we put this into our calculators, we end up getting 3.249273 and so on. So here I want to look at significant figures. This is why I have to keep all the digits for the molar mass or the gram formula mass because I want to make sure that's as precise as possible. And here I have 3 sig figs. Here I have 6 sig figs at the bottom. So I'm going to use 3 sig figs in my final answer here. So I have 1, 2, 3. I'll draw a line there. That 9 will help me figure out what I do to the next number. So this ends up being 3.25. And I know that looking at the units, I was left with moles. And that's what I wanted in the question anyway. So 3.25 moles. Here we have how many grams are in 0.931 moles of NaCl. So now I want to figure out what the gram is. So now I have to rearrange the equation. So I can do grams, or the given mass, it's the same thing, is equal to the moles times the gram formula mass, and I abbreviate it GFM just to make it simpler. The moles are 0.931, and I know that because of that unit there. And the gram formula mass, so here I take this from the periodic table, I add up 1 sodium, which is 22.98977, and then add that to Cl, which is 35.453. So I would end up with 58.44277. That unit was grams per mole. I can even set this over 1 if I need to. And I see that I can cancel out moles, and I'm left with the unit grams. When I put this into the calculator, I have 54.4102.189, etc. My problem shows me that I have 3 sig figs here for moles, and then I have way more than 3 sig figs for the grams, so I'm just going to stick to 3 sig figs, which is the least number of significant figures, of course, when you're multiplying or dividing. So I have 1, 2, 3. Draw a line right there. That 1 doesn't do anything to that 4, so this ends up being 54.4. And we'll check the units. I know I want grams because that's the only unit left, and because that's what the question's saying. So in 0.931 moles of NaCl, that should equal 54.4 grams on a scale. So for number 3, how many grams are in 1.87 moles of MgClO3 2? So again, my grams is my unknown, that's my x. So I can say the grams, or write x, it doesn't matter, is equal to moles times the gram formula mass when I rearrange the equation. Don't forget, you do need to rearrange equations. I'm taking 1.87 moles from the problem, multiplying by the gram formula mass. The gram formula mass was in the previous video, but we can always add it up again. It's 1 magnesium. It ends up being 2 chlorines, and then 6 oxygens. When I add those up, I get 191.2074. So I keep all those digits because in the end, when I use sig figs, I want to make sure that my problem is limiting the number of sig figs, not my molar mass. When you put this into the calculator, it's 357.5578, etc. This has 3 sig figs, so I go 1, 2, 3, drop a line right there, and that 5 ends up rounding up that 7, so it's 358 grams. Oops, sorry, this. Always keep your units, darlings. This is grams per mole. The moles canceled. So it's 358 grams. So when we're doing this, use the periodic table to determine that gram formula mass or the molar mass, just like we did in the previous video, and use this formula if you need to. Don't forget to also make sure that you have your units and cancel out any units that you don't need. And we will practice this in class. Take care. Have a good day.